Welcome back to the Die Again podcast, the only podcast that has not yet died again. I'm your game master, Josiah. With me, as always, is our player.
As you should already know, bald William.
Yes, confirmed bald. Post online about it.
Yeah, very proud of this.
Okay, we are joining him as he's playing Winston Davitsen. Now, is Winston Davitsen confirmed bald?
Winston Davison is in fact bald and left-handed. As I've stated in the past, I must bring forth the characters I want to see in media, so here we go.
We're a diverse podcast. We believe in representation and all those good things. So, Winston Davitsen is a fiction author, not a particularly successful one, but also he can actually do it full time and live off of it. So, he's doing well enough. He writes primarily horror and occasionally historical fiction. He's looking to get some inspiration for a new anthology he's working on.
Before we go too much further, did you want to let them know what system we're doing?
Yes, I believe we mentioned it in the retrospective, but this is Fudge. It's a Fudge build I've made that I'll probably never release because it's like not enough for anyone else to run it, but you can go ahead and rattle off Winston Davison's attributes if you'd like.
Absolutely. So his health is fair. His empathy is good. His ability is mediocre. Strength poor. Perception great. Reasoning good. Luck fair. And charisma fair.
The thing I'm excited about with this is this time he gets to make his own luck rolls and know what the result is. So it's an extra fun thing. I think I have no reason to roll dice this time because I've offloaded the luck rolls.
So I have to roll the dice. I have to edit the podcast. No, I'm joking.
Exactly.
But yeah, I'm excited to start this.
Yep. So we know one thing that Winston Davison is into, and that is Victor Smith's blog and the magazine that he writes for, The Forster. But what else does Winston Davison do when he's looking for inspiration?
So with Victor Smith, he goes to that because he thinks it's really convincing and it inspires him to go out and also try to find spooky situations and interview people. He kind of likes to mimic almost what Victor Smith did as far as reporting, but it's all for book writing. And that's how he gets his inspiration for the different characters that he has. As we stated earlier, he's not a well-known author, but he is good enough to do this full time. So he's constantly looking for inspiration for more than just the horror, but for people and stories. So he's very invested in hearing those.
And timeline wise, as far as what Victor Smith is doing, this is about 2 months after the end of season 2. So that's after the end of that storm clearing out and the undead with it. That's the last major thing Victor Smith reported on. His site also has a subform that's built up after the events of season 1, and frequently people will be posting about things they've seen or heard about on there.
So he essentially made almost like a Reddit thread for people to add in stuff.
Reddit before Reddit was massive.
Nice, very nice.
All right, so we can go back to what sort of things Winston Davison is trying to do. I imagine, in my mind, when I'm looking at Winston Davison, I feel like he's the kind of guy who gets up and he has the same breakfast every morning, the exact same one. He has his 2 eggs, he has his single slice of toast, he has like half a glass of orange juice, and 1 piece of bacon every morning. Does that sound about right?
And he doesn't get bored by it. For him, it's necessary, it's nutrition, but it's not what drives him. What drives him is getting the stories from others and crafting them into his own universe.
I like to think that he's sort of, if nothing's going on, he's not moving. He's just staring into the middle distance, thinking about stories.
In his youth, he used to get in trouble for daydreaming too much, and that has continued to adulthood.
Exactly. What kind of house do you think Winston Davison lives in? He's not well off, but I would say he can afford a house.
And this is back in before major inflation, so he has a normal, nice, small house. It's big enough for him to be able to entertain people, and sometimes he brings people over for things like Dungeons and Dragons get together. He does things, even like small interviews there for kind of building up characters based on different people. So it's not a studio by any means, but he treats it like it is, like it's part of his work life.
And Winston Davison lives in his hometown, Ravenbrook, in Ohio. It's kind of one of those slowly dying industrial towns. You know, the steel mills shut down, train stations out of order, there's half-finished buildings around, that sort of thing. With that being said, if you do still have a place to live there, it can be pretty nice. You've had your breakfast, and you're gonna go hit the town to try and find something to inspire you.
Okay, so this is all happening. We're where he lives. We're not traveling or anything like that yet.
Not yet.
What's the name of this town again?
Ravenbrook. Raven Brook.
So he's gotten up, he's had his morning ritual of nutrition, and where's a good place where he might want to head out to? I don't know. What do you think? What do you think makes sense?
So out of the places that you have, there's a mall. That's always somewhere where if you just want to people watch and try and just listen in on people to try and hear if there's anything going on, that's always an option. You could try just people you know, like you probably know a coffee shop, maybe a record store, those sorts of places.
Let's do that. He grabs his laptop of the time period and he heads to his local coffee shop.
Yeah, I think this is sort of before the whole I'm not someone who serves you coffee. I'm a barista. This is a regular coffee shop. It's almost a diner, but not quite. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But it's normal for people to go there to work on things
Exactly. Yeah.
prior to it being so Starbucks.
I think in part that's probably just because of the state of the town is like anywhere that people are going to sit down, there's probably going to be an expectation that they can get something done there. So this is John's, spelled like you would expect.
So I can't wait till the end of this. I'm calling it Jonas or something, and that's the
Johannes.
Johannes Juan.
Johnny. It's a pretty friendly place for you. You know the owner, you know all the staff. You can talk to them, or you can just try and go there, set up your laptop, and try and just search for stuff online.
Okay, so I walk into the coffee shop. How does it smell?
Like coffee mostly. It's
Okay.
that sort of thing where like a lot of the morning coffee was probably burnt, but they've moved to fresh pots. So this is a little bit better.
Okay, so it's a little bit of a roasted smell in the air. And that for him, it's like the perfect scent for writing things down. And it's very much his Zen place. And he looks around. Does he see the normal coffee pourer person there?
Yeah, you see the person on the morning shift you'd expect. Let me find their name. Yeah, so this is probably the one I would say you see the most often because I feel like Winston probably doesn't come here in the afternoon as often. So this is Tobias. He has a last name. I don't know that you've bothered to learn it. Up to you.
Probably don't know it if he didn't offer it.
Yeah, he's college age and first roll of the game, make a perception check.
Alrighty, so my perception is great, and I just rolled a -1, so that puts me at good.
All right, that's good enough.
Nice.
Notice that he has a small bandage like on his temple. His hair covers it up a bit, but it's just like a small band-aid.
Okay, so then I walk up to him and I say, "Morning, Tobias. How's it going? What happened to your head?"
It's going good. I really can't quite figure that out. I was out and just sort of zoned out, and then I just had a little cut right there. So who knows?
Oh, that's very interesting. Well, keep it covered, keep it clean, and watch out for yourself, man.
Yeah, of course. You want the usual?
Yes, please.
Now, here's my question to you as a player. Is Winston one of those people who gets a coffee, but he only kind of drinks it and he mostly just smells it?
No, he'll spend time smelling it, don't get me wrong. But he enjoys drinking it just as much, and he doesn't really like to add in extra. He prefers it black.
All right. He's a dark roast kind of guy.
Yeah, he likes it strong. He likes that bitterness. It works for him.
You got one of those super nasty, thick black coffees in a mug served up to you pretty fast. Does he get a pastry with it or anything?
He only does that on Saturdays. The rest of the week, he doesn't do that. He just wants the coffee.
I like to think he has like a mental checklist of all the little things he does.
It's kind of like the on Wednesdays we wear pink, but more depressing.
Exactly. It's like, okay, on Saturdays, I'll allow myself to have a pastry. On Sundays, I will have one more egg.
And ironically enough, he's a very healthy individual.
Yeah, for his age, he's shockingly healthy. So you settle in with your coffee, open up your laptop. Where all do you check? There's no new main blog post on Victor Smith's blog.
He would check though, unless he knows like, oh, it's every Wednesday or something, then he wouldn't. But he likes to go on like the New York Times, any of the bigger main news sources. And this is in a time when a lot of it wasn't necessarily online, but at least you got some of the information out there. And he probably actually would buy a morning paper at the coffee shop too if it's available.
Oh, yeah, yeah, there'll be a morning paper.
So he definitely looks up all that. He'll look at his email too. And typically, he'll also have a Word document that is just his notes. Like, this is where he likes to jot down whatever comes to mind when he's out and about with his laptop.
I have one of those. I have it scratch.txt. That's mine.
I have one here too. It's Winston Davison notes.
All right, so you're going through that. You go through your emails. You've got some of the expected stuff, like your agent's telling you, "Yeah, I've been shopping that around. It hasn't always bought it yet." You've got some of your editors asking where you are and your deadlines. That
So,
kind.
what's the last book that my guy has taken out? Do I get to make that up?
Yeah, you can name it.
Okay, dang it. Now I have to think of something. Uh, okay, so the last book he wrote was The Unseen Aliens, and it's a horror about the little green men, but they have camouflage. And they're the things that steal and cause equipment to go haywire. And it's all about army infested of these things just destroy mankind.
That's really funny.
Because you can see why it's not doing well.
Yeah, I feel like uh his friends behind his back call him like knockoff Stephen King. Like instead of Lovecraft Country, all his stuff is taking place in Ohio.
He literally did what I just did and looked around and just quickly stringed a couple thoughts and, oh, that's it.
That's the most recent thing that he sold. It's not even his most recent manuscript. His most recent manuscript hasn't sold yet.
Yeah, his D&D games, now those are interesting. Those because then he has other people to play off of and makes all sorts of
Exactly.
stuff.
All right. So now we've done that email. Let's see. So you're checking the local newspaper, right? And looking online to other newspapers. Online, I'd say at this point in time, you can probably get like international news easier than a lot of other stuff. You find that there are a few things that kind of catch your eye, like a few disappearances in Dubai, that sort of thing, but nothing that screams out like, oh man, I gotta check this out.
Does my guy have a passport filled with stamps from traveling around?
You have a passport. I don't think you probably get to use it that often just for cost reasons, but I'd imagine you've definitely been to Germany because
Okay.
horror is really big in Germany. That's a random thing I know, but it's true.
Okay. So he definitely wants to. So he's not well traveled, but he's inspiring to be.
Yeah. If he had the money, I think he would be flying around a lot. And it kind of fits with his attitude about how he writes that you've given him.
Okay.
The local paper, give me a reasoning check as you read through that.
Okay, so I got good. So I just rolled a 0, so good.
Good reasoning check. There's a very small, like a one paragraph piece in there that just mentions that there's been a lot of kids at the local playground that have been getting scrapes that nobody seems to be able to explain.
This is local here, right? Not
Yeah, this is in your town. You know where the playground is if you want to get arrested. And I mean, you
So
know
that's
of
on
it.
the table.
You know of it. You probably played there when it was at your age. It was probably like a normal park when you played at it, and it probably didn't have any of the equipment.
So is this the kind of park where you got a slide that's metal?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's a metal slide. Everything's metal there because this was a steel town. So
Right. And that makes perfect sense for the time period. So he hears that, and then he looks over at the to be barista in the future and kind of goes like, "Have you been hanging around the park recently?"
the park. No, I think he picks up pretty quickly the connection that you're making because that's the only reason you would ask him a question like that. No, it happened. I was around that half finished high rise. I was out going for a run.
Okay. Well, sorry for interrupting you. Going to keep on looking at my news. Yeah, that's weird. Kids getting scraped. Is there the author name on the news article or who wrote it?
I think there would be because you can find it regardless. His name's Tony Howard.
Do I recognize that name?
So I was going to ask is since this is something you check regularly, do you think you actually talk to these local newspaper authors?
Okay, so I don't think we mentioned this earlier. My guy, his age is 41. So I'm going to say when he was in his late teens and his early 20s, he used to write for the paper. So
He is knockoff Stephen King.
he actually does have contacts at the newspaper and has a respect for their work.
Yeah, That makes sense because at a town this size, there's probably not too many people working there. They probably do get some extra work by sending stories into bigger newspapers as well.
But this was in a time period too where it was more common to have more individual stuff. It didn't turn into what
Yeah,
it's turned into.
yeah. So you probably know Tony Howard. He's a pretty average writer. I wouldn't say you're that much of a fan of him. He's pretty dry and he tends to just show up, ask some basic questions, write his story, and go home.
Well, so you see, I've been trying to convince him to come to one of my D&D games, trying to convince him that it's a great way to tell stories and to really grow his abilities as a writer, but he hasn't taken me up on the offer.
Yeah, his question was, how much do I get paid for this?
Exactly.
So I assume you make a note to schedule a
Yeah.
meeting with Tony. Let's see. Yeah, that'd be the only thing you find in the newspaper that sticks out. I assume you are this person who reads through all the obituaries.
Yeah. Okay, this is part of his routine, apparently.
I bet you also walk through the cemetery, like close to night.
And he likes to listen to different genres of music depending on what it is. So when he's doing the walking late at night in cemeteries, he likes to listen to some dark music. But then when it's like morning time, that's all about raindrops are dropping on my head kind of music. So
What's his special situation where he's willing to listen to country?
he does those when he watches sunsets and sunrises.
He sounds like a entertaining person to deal with, but not someone you'd want to work with.
That's why he's a book writer. He's his own boss, essentially, other than having to talk to an editor or whatever.
That makes sense. All right, I'd say with that, probably getting pretty close to lunchtime at this point because you've been going through things pretty carefully, making notes, listing off anything that you might want. So, what's his lunchtime ritual?
I love how building out this, and then we're going to stick to it. Apparently,
Yeah,
things are going to hit the fan when this schedule is just thrown out the window.
you're lucky I didn't include a sanity stat because his would tank as soon as he got his schedule disrupted.
For lunches, man, what's a good thing to say? Is there a local university in this area?
I would say not here. You'd need to drive a little ways out for that.
Community college, or also you have to drive out?
Probably you still have to drive out. There's probably a trade school that would operate like a welding place. And so there would be like a diner right by
Is
that, if that's the kind of
is
thing he's
there
looking
a
for.
large park?
Yes, there's a large park close to the river. So you can kind of sit on a bench, look at the river. It's not a very big river.
Well, so he goes ahead, puts up his laptop, bags it up, and he likes to drive over to the local large park and he likes to do laps. Like not running, but he likes to just think about what he's writing. He likes to marinate in his thoughts. And
Did he pack a sandwich in advance? He has like a ham and cheese.
he does a like a granola bar.
This explains why he's so lean because he just eats a little bit, then he has his coffee, and then he eats a little bit and he does his laps.
I don't know what we're creating here, but here we go.
We're creating someone who, if his schedule is disrupted, is going to drop dead of malnutrition.
So yeah, that's what he does though. He goes to a park and he likes to just absorb a little bit of nature.
How close to the river do you normally go? Like, because I'm imagining it's sort of like the park and then it goes down a little bit into the river and it's grassy, so you kind of go up around that area.
Is there a path that's kind of either there intentionally or
I don't think there's really much in the way of
I
pathing.
think he'd probably stick to the path. I don't think he doesn't sound like the kind of guy that really wants to unless he goes out with running shoes or whatever. He doesn't want to get on the grass.
You're more going like around the park so you can look at it, but you don't want to
Yeah.
be in it. So you're just doing
Yeah.
the semicircle, basically. All right. So you're doing that. You're eating your granola bar. What's running through his head right now?
He's thinking about some of the stories he's heard from Victor Smith. He's thinking about that post that came up 3, 4 months ago about the sand monster thing that he was dealing with, the nature monster. And just looking at the forest and just being like, thank goodness these things aren't going to rip out of the ground and try chasing me down.
Make a look now. Make a Murphy's Law roll.
I don't see that on here. Murphy's Law. What's my skill in it? Terrible.
No matter how many points you put into it or how you roll, Murphy's Law is always terrible. Yeah, I kind of like that. What he does is he just thinks about, I'm glad I'm not those assholes.
I'm glad I just write about it, but I don't need to live it. I just need to be inspired by it.
I think him walking around a park without getting on the grass and eating a granola bar, that's told me everything I needed to know. All right. So you have your lunch, you have your little walk. What's your afternoon? What are you trying for there? Are you gonna check out the park or the high rise, or are you gonna try something else?
Yeah, after walking a bit through the park, I think how I should go look at this park because now I'm curious. Is the equipment somehow more unsafe than it was when I was little? Why are kids hurting themselves?
So you're gonna kind of walk. I assume, given the time of day, you're just gonna walk like around the perimeter once because you don't want to get looks from parents. But it's up to you if you want to just walk into the park and start inspecting things that the kids are playing with. I mean, I feel like people know that Davison is an eccentric just because it seems like he's lived
Right.
there his whole life and he's always been just a little bit off.
He does one pass. He doesn't really want to snoop unless he's like with the reporter, and somehow it turns into this like him actually looking at how the park is.
Go ahead and make a perception check.
All right, so my perception is great, and I got a +4, so that puts me at
Above superb. For this game, all I care about is superb. So consider that your maximum effect. Okay. And make a luck roll.
okay. My luck is fair, and I just got a +3, so that puts me at superb as well.
All right. So you are sort of making this pass around, the equipment, it's not safe, but it's about as safe as you remember it being. But you notice just out of the corner of your eye as you're walking by, one of these kids is sort of running past one of those dome things with all the holes in it. I don't know what you call those.
I know what you're talking about. Like it's a dome with a bunch of holes for kids to
Yeah.
climb in and get inside and climb around it. Yeah, jungle
Yes.
gyms, I think, but maybe.
Yeah, and it's one of those ones that has like the plastic top where you can stick your head out and look around without being able to get out there. It's one of those. Anyways, you see that kid's running past there, and then you notice just out of the corner of your eye, it looks like there's just sort of like a brief blur of motion, kind of like a dragonfly
Going past the dome, or
going
okay,
past the kid. You don't see it go anywhere. It's like it just sort of hits the kid and vanishes.
like it hits the kid, looks like he got impacted, or
But again, it's very fast. You can't really tell from your distance, but then you do notice that it looks like there's a little bit of blood. Not a lot, kind of like a scrape, but the kid doesn't seem to react.
same kind of same area as the coffee guy, or
It's close to the knee.
okay, parents around.
But yeah, they're sort of sitting on the benches talking. None of the kids are screaming, so it seems like things must be not too bad, is probably what they're thinking.
So they might have actually noticed that the kid's bleeding, but they're not concerned.
They haven't necessarily noticed, like, it's not a lot of blood. It's just you were looking for it. Like, this is like, I tripped and skinned my knee.
And kids being kids, it could legitimately be like, I didn't even notice. What the?
Exactly.
Okay. But I definitely noticed a weird shift around the kid getting hit.
Yep.
Okay. So I kind of look at that and I think to myself, okay, in the past, whenever I've said things without double checking if it's normal or not, people have said things. So because of this, I'm just going to hold on to this information. I've learned my lesson. And I kind of want to call the Tony Howard and check in with my buddy, see what I just saw something kind of weird in the same area.
All right. Would your Winston, would he have a cell phone or is he a landline guy? Because he's old enough to be from when it was just landlines.
And we're still sometime in the 2000s, 2004, somewhere around there.
Yeah, the early 2000s, so cell phone adoption isn't complete yet.
I think he would still be rocking a pager. And I think with those, it was possible to send text messages.
Yeah, so you're gonna try and set up a meeting, basically.
Yeah.
All right, make a charisma check.
Ohio charisma. Okay, so my charisma is fair, and I just rolled a +1, so it's good.
All right, so yeah, he agrees to meet you at your usual coffee shop in the morning.
Okay, that's good.
So, what's your evening ritual now that you've sort of, you've been running around literally in some cases, and you feel like you're actually finding something that could be interesting? So, do you have like a celebratory routine for that, or do you wait until you've found something?
My character likes to keep multiple whiteboards, and each whiteboard is dedicated to a different story. And so, what he likes to do is he'll spend at least 30 minutes on each white, and he'll go down the line and think of something to add, something to edit, something to modify about the different story plots. So the first one is a continuation of the book that we mentioned with the aliens. And the next one is something about werewolves. Then we got another one with vampires. Then we got one with just humans being evil. And then we got this new empty whiteboard and he says, invisible wind that cuts children. And he just puts that there.
Nice. And I think with that, we'll call it.
Hey everyone, we hope you enjoyed the first episode of Season 4 of the Daigen Podcast. What is in store for Winston Davison? What is hurting the kids at the park? Will this be in his next book? Find out next time. We at the Daigen Podcast love hearing your thoughts, so drop your comments wherever you're tuning in from. Also, don't forget to follow us on X, Threads, and Blue Sky. Just search for Daigen Podcast, all one word. Bye.
I switched to something that's got light mode and I just flashbang myself.